as of Friday, the 19th. The process that now involves the South African Police Service's forensic science members. These members include the victim identification that we continuously refer to, and the other unit that we hardly refer to them, which is the biology section of the DNA. And this is also one of the most critical units here within the SABC forensic science members, because they are the ones who have been able to hand over those results that we can be able to present to you today. Now, this team works with our forensic pathologist. Now, the combination of these three units, the victim identification, the biology section of the DNA, and the forensic pathology, which is both SABC and Department of Health. These three units are the ones that have made it possible that we find ourselves where we are today, because they were able to come immediately, I think, after the Easter Monday. It was on Tuesday when we started to receive the team from Pretoria, working under together with Dr. Mamashela here and General Muraudzi. They were able to get samples, dissect samples, around 72, if I'm not mistaken, 72 samples which were collected from the individual body parts that were we were able to receive from SABC from the scene, and from that we have been able to receive the results of 42 have been identified. What does it mean? It means we know 42 names that were in that bus, who the police must first, South African Police Service, Colonel Mutwaye must first share with the people of Botswana and the families. We wouldn't want a situation where families read the names on the media. We need to follow that process. Like we keep on saying, this matter is too sensitive, because you might say they already know who was in that bus as families, but the reality is that we can talk about 42 today. Then if the three, like others are saying, there was 45 as per border management and as for Department of Transport, others will start to be questioning what is happening with ours. So we would want to take one step at a time, and also anticipating that question, to say to you, with the 42, like we said from the beginning, we depend on the scientific process to tell us exactly how many people were in that bus or were perished. If the number is not to our satisfactory, we will have to take the police back to go and do more investigations. But what we can report to you is that out of the 72, only 3 samples were returned back by the laboratory for us to collect new specimen. Because, as I've said, there has been a damage, both mechanical and thermal, from the heat and also from the injuries, which resulted it into very difficult, because even the mechanical damage does have an effect on the destruction of the DNA. Now the thermal becomes even worse. So some of the samples that we've collected, the laboratory there can't pick up the DNA. Therefore, it's only 3. Now, if you look at the accuracy rate from 72, you are only asked to repeat 3. We must give the team a real round of applause, even though we can't, because given the situation that we're in, it's a painful situation. But I would believe that there is an excellent performance in terms of the accuracy of collecting the specimen that could be detected, and DNA, unique DNA can be identified within those specimens that were given. So we are left with 3, and the 3 specimens again They've been sent to Pretoria already as early as Friday. And as we are speaking, they are going through the stages, because you know the stages, they must first be able to identify the DNA to say, is it identifiable? After that, they must go. It's a lot of work that needs to be done until you reach to the level of saying, yes, this is a person. So that is where we are in terms of the 42 that we have been able to identify. Now, what is currently happening today, the victim identification at unit, it's in the province. We are working with them together with the forensic pathologist, so that with the spreadsheet of the whole DNA having been brought to us, we are now looking at, remember, I'll keep on referring you to the mechanical damage and the thermal. Because of the mechanical damage, you might find that one body part of an individual was found there, and another body part there, and others clubbed together. So that's why even our samples were 72, because any body part that is loose, we were taking it for DNA. So what we know now is that all the body parts have now been labeled to say these ones belongs to an individual. So that is the work that is currently happening. We have made a commitment in the presence of our president. We said we will do everything in our power so that each family receive the correct remains of their loved ones. So this is the exercise and the work that is being done today. We are picking up each and every body part and package it where it belongs, and be able now to label, to say these are the human remains of so and so and of so and so, for the 42 that we have now identified using SABC. Now, following that, which we want to believe that this work will be done today. Following this work today, we are expecting the process of death registration. Our Home Affairs is here. They are already ready. But you must also understand that the process of registering a death requires families. What we have done as South Africans is to make sure that we, together with Home Affairs, that portion which require families to be physically present will be waived, and it will be, we are having an oath that families will be able to sign. Like we did with the DNA matching samples. We didn't bring all the families from Botswana. We worked with the people, our counterparts in Botswana, where they did collected, and here we are. So that we can be able to complete the registration, which we want to believe that as soon as that it's done, we will be able to complete the registration. Now, once that is completed, Department of Health will be able to, working with the undertaker, that we then receive all the documents that are needed and issue a transport, the export permit, so that the remains can be allowed to leave the country. I think that is where we are today. You will understand that we have been through difficult, but given the time frame and given the competency that South African team of professionals have demonstrated, one can always say this is the best service you can ever get, given the situation that we are currently dealing with.
Thank you very much, MEC. And now it's time for the journalist to pose the question to the MEC. You raise your hand wherever you are. You tell us where you come from, your media institution. Yes. Noted, Kate. Yeah, you can start.
Okay. Madam Katleho from News. I just want to find out, is it likely that the three might not be identified?
Okay, Kate. question I wanted to ask, the same question. You want that?
From my end, I just want to find out with the 42, where are they?
Oh, okay.
Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay.
Where are they?
All right. I think that's it. Let me see.
No, thank you very much. Let me start with the simple one. The three, where are they? They are here in our forensic mortuary. Here in Mokopane. The 42, they are here. All the remains that were collected from the accident scene, they were stored since that day on our forensic mortuary, because that's where we preserve them to avoid, the decomposition, and that they already we have challenges with the remains, so you don't want them to be destroyed more. So we preserve them, and until this process is done. I have my expert with me, but what I can tell you is that it is not likely. If the remains are there for individual, we will drill the samples until we get samples that will be able to be identifiable. They might, these tissues, these organs, tissues that we drilled the sample from, we are not sure they might belong to others which are there. We don't know that. Hence we are saying we will drill and collect specimen until such time the lab is saying we can identify a DNA for a human being. And then later on, because the second step will be to check who do they belong to. But for now, the challenge we're having is that the specimen that we have submitted, the lab, the machine can't read the DNA. As I've indicated, the challenge, when from day one, we had thought actually there were even more than 7. We thought 7 will not be able to identify through the machine, but to our surprise, we were accurate in those. So the whole out of 72, our challenge is only 6. It's on 3. 69 were able to be identified. So for me, where I'm sitting, I don't want to guess or try to be a prophet, but looking at the probability, we will be able to identify those DNA. The only issue that I can't answer is that to who will they belong. That must be reserved to that. That is why even from the beginning, if you would remember what the team has always conscious when they talk to you, we keep on saying, yes, Border Management Authority talks about 46 in the bus. So it's the bus owner and the bus coordinator. But we would want to allow the scientific process to tell us exactly, because we don't know what could have transpired from the border to the accident scene as to what happened when the bus crashed. But we don't want to raise alarm on that, but just to say we need to give science space to guide us on this matter. Just to also give you maybe an illustration, we receive 41 from the scene body bags, but already we can detect from DNA 42. So that's what tells you that it's only science that can tell us exactly what went on and how many people were there.
All right, colleagues, we still have any other questions, or we're done? Okay.
Thank you very much, Robert. Just clarity on But this investigation still ongoing. I know it's not a matter for the Department of Health, but looking at the actual cause of the incident, are they still ongoing?
The Road Traffic Management Corporation has already released a preliminary report, which was handed over to the Minister of Transport and also to the President, as to what could be the possible cause of the accident. And looking at whether, you know, they must look at whether it was the driver's fault, whether it was the bus fault, whether it was the road's fault. From where I'm sitting, out of the preliminary report, we were reassured, because we are also interested, that the bus was in a good state. We were also reassured that the road itself, even when you look at the markings, that it does warn you that you are driving on from both sides. So the road was not found to be having challenges. Now the issues that they would be further looking into the details would be on what could have been the contribution probably of the driver, which that full report would be provided to say this could be a driver who is not, whether not knowing the road itself. So those things, the report, it's a preliminary report, it's there. We just need to wait for the final report that will then be put in public. So, but the preliminary report, they've gone in public. The investigating officer here from Colonel Mutu, they also depend on our report. Before they can publish any accident report, the investigating officer must first receive the report from the forensic pathologist, which is what Dr. Mamatlakala will be responsible, and also what the biology section of the DNA, and also the victim identification. So these three science units will be able to give the police their own report. Before they can give them, they will not close the investigation. So they are dependent on these ones. So because we are still, it's an ongoing, we will only close the matter when we receive from General Mulaudzi and Dr. Mamatlakala that we are done on our side. Then they give it to Colonel Motwa, who will then be able to say, yes, MEC, they will then give us a wrap-up report. We will come back and give it to you. So to answer you, the investigations are ongoing. As I've indicated, the RTMC has also started their own work, and they have a preliminary from a transport perspective. Then from SAB's perspective, they must wait for these scientific reports.
All right.
Last question of mine. I just want to know, MC, when can we expect repatriation?
You see, the challenge is that repatriation is not dependent on South Africans. It's solely, as you can see, South Africans, we are 99% done. What we are left with, it's just for them to send us the documents we need and register the death. After death registration, we will be working with them on the documents we need to issue the permits from the Department of Health to clear that these bodies have, but those permits cannot be issued until the representative from Botswana give us the application to say we are applying for this. So 99% of what we are expected to do by end of business today, it will be done. So the repatriation can happen anytime. We can't be specific with the date, because you know, I imagine a situation where the Botswana government can say, can we also just wait for this resampling that you have done, which is understandable, to say let's get the results of the resampling before we can repatriate. That is acceptable. Then once that is done, so that when they repatriate, they will repatriate all the remains.
All right. since we're done. So this brings to the end of this briefing. Thank you very much, MEC and all the panel members.
Maybe before, my two colleagues here, they expect if they want to say something, which I might have missed, which is important for the public out there, because this exercise that we are doing, my journalist, it's also part of educating the public to understand some of these processes, because we have seen a lot of a conflict between state, us as government, and the public when there are delay and people are saying we want to bury. We do understand we can never deliberately keep information away from the families. So we felt also when we share with you this information, we are trying, and through you we must appreciate, most of the family members now understand how difficult it is to really identify, and because we are not talking about one department, it's a number of departments, and here what we appreciate is that there has been coordination of bringing all the departments and all experts to work under one roof. That shows you that when you have all our forensic with SABC working together, you can do within a short space of time. So we just wanted that the public to really appreciate the difficulty sometimes and the complexity of this work when you are expected to do.
No, from myself, thank you very much, Miss. From the police side, because we are only dealing with investigation. She's already covered a lot from my side, because we are only awaiting the reports to finalize. So the investigation is still going. I think for now, it is suffice to say the investigation are still going. Thank you, Ms.
I think, Honorable MC, from my side, everything was covered, and I think it's work in progress like that. I think we'll keep on updating each other like you have said. After today, there's going to be the next step that will be communicated accordingly. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, this brings us to the end of this briefing. So if you will need one-on-one, you can arrange it after this. Thank you.
Thank you.